We have further details and reactions to Vince McMahon appearing backstage at this week's Raw. Could a top AEW star be returning to TV very soon? And a different AEW star has shot on MJF on social media. More on that in this video. Hello everybody, Jack and Ross back again with more wrestling news. Check out our earlier video on the channel if you've missed it. But now we're going to be talking about the details and reactions to that story that caused waves at the start of the week. Vince McMahon was backstage at Raw in Boston.
Yeah, Fightful Selector saying McMahon was a gorilla position throughout the night and was not shy about saying hello and greeting talent. However, none of the talent or staff that we spoke to said that he was providing instructions, feedback or orders to anyone that they saw. Okay. Very interessant.
I saw one Twitter account, forgive me, I can't remember who it was, but one person tweeted, "It's weird that Vince was backstage at Raw and Chad Gable got called ugly and ridiculed and someone else got called short or something as well." Yeah, I know.
There has been certain segments more recently that you're thinking that's a Vince McMahon segment.
And obviously the whole rumour that Brock Lesnar versus Omos is his brainchild, that match. I don't know. Yeah, but you know, I don't think Vince McMahon's the sort of person who would be shy about ordering people around backstage.
No,
but he hasn't apparently.
He's got to keep people happy now, hasn't he? Like he's got to. They've been sold one thing by what we've been told over the last 6 months. If he just came in one night and just was like, nah, and just ripped all that up. I know in the past he hasn't seemed to have cared about morale too much, but surely he would have to. That would be a massive blow. Yes, if he started doing that sort of stuff.
It would. Fightful go on to point out that this was a stark contrast to when Vince forced himself back into power in December, where there seemed to be a lot of panic and, as you said, morale tanked back then, or when he appeared on TV after the Wall Street Journal stories emerged and was met with disgust. Apart from the live audiences didn't meet him with disgust, but the general reception online was certainly one of disgust. But this time apparently there didn't seem to be a lot of panic, at least based on the reports that Fightful Select heard. They said that one talent even said the big tell will be if he's also at SmackDown this week.
Yeah, because he was apparently the reason for him being at Raw this week was just to say hello to John Cena, who was at Raw in Boston. So if he is at SmackDown, where Cena isn't going to be, as far as we've been led to believe, that would be an interesting one. But Fightful Select go on and say talent and staff were not prepared for McMahon to be around and were not briefed about the situation before and after. There were several higher ups in the company that were also not made aware until he was there, with one noting that they wish they could have been clued in, considering the nature of the last 9 months with the WWE.
And there's an interesting update as well on possibly the standing that Vince finds himself in amongst the roster, with Fightful saying there were a few talent that said that they intentionally avoided associating with him, despite them believing that they'll likely have to deal with him again at some point in the future. Also, one WWE higher up felt personally as if this was also a case of Vince testing the waters, showing his face backstage and seeing how people would react after all the allegations and the Wall Street Journal stories and all that sort of stuff.
And it's the wider implications of this sale, which is continuing to hang over the company. Said it's gone quiet for a little while now, but we think it's still going on, don't we? The process of the sale happening. If the sale does happen with the new people, will Vince be brought back into a more prominent role than he has been doing the past 6 months?
Yes, and it wasn't just Fightful, but various different news sources were talking about the most important part of this story, obviously, being Vince's changed appearance.
Oh, and I would like a picture of Brian Alvarez impersonation of Vince McMahon to appear on that screen there, because Brian Alvarez did an impersonation of what people have been saying about Vince's jet black hair now, apparently, and his thin pencil moustache, like a Chris Kamara, or has been written down here, Gomez Adams from the Adams family. Alvarez said he couldn't get the dye out of his hair, so it could be a secondary gimmick from him from now on for a little bit.
It's just the story that's been causing shockwaves on social media. There was that old photo of Vince and Dimitar Berbatov doing the rounds with
the Monaco kit on, so that's got to be like 2013 sort of time.
I think everybody this side of the Atlantic immediately knew that was a fake picture, where it might have taken understandably, it might have taken some Americans a bit longer to catch up. It was a convincing Photoshop, I will say. If he wasn't posing with Monaco era Dimitar Berbatov, then
But who knows? Dimitar Berbatov might just be a Monaco season ticket holder.
Is Berbatov? Yeah, he's gone back. Is he a wrestling fan then, I guess?
I don't know.
I can't imagine Vince is a Berbatov fan.
He might just be a massive fan of Miro, being from Bulgaria.
Oh,
I don't know. Get them a tag team match at WrestleMania.
Get him on straight to hell. Berbatov, not Vince McMahon. Although imagine the views if you did. Crossing the divide now to AEW, and could a top AEW star, one that I honestly didn't think we'd ever see on AEW TV again, be returning to TV soon?
It's the one with the thick accent, Jack, from last week's SmackDown with Charlotte Flair. On the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast, we heard Charlotte Flair speaking about her significant other, the wrestler we're talking about here, and we thought that she mentioned his thick you-know-what, but it wasn't. She said accent, apparently.
Accent, yeah.
Yeah, it's Andrade. Also, the assistant recently tweeted out a video of himself holding a black mask that appears to belong to Andrade El Idolo.
Oh, he has not been seen on AEW TV since he was obviously suspended for this backstage altercation he had with Sammy Guevara, which some people have suggested was a deliberate attempt to get fired so he could go back to WWE, where his wife works, and, you know...
Where he might be valued a bit more, just given his NXT booking compared to his AEW booking.
And now the Triple H is in charge. Yes, absolutely. He was also, to be fair, he was also out with a pectoral injury and underwent surgery in November. Ric Flair recently noted on his podcast, being his father-in-law, that Andrade is doing well and is close to being ready to return to in-ring action. Andrade has stated that he's on a 3-year deal, which means that he's still under contract until next year.
I don't know what to make of this situation, because when he was there, they didn't exactly do good things with him. The whole recruitment angle with Press 10 Vance
contracts
went on for ages. It's boring, legitimate logistical stuff which we don't really care about over here. I don't know what you think at home, but if they just bring him back and have him wrestle, it's going to be better than it was.
The best stuff that I can think of that he's been in AEW has been where the match with Cody, where they fell into the fire.
Yeah.
But mainly it's been like multi-man matches, which are great and everything, like the one against Sting and Darby and all that, where Sting went crazy. But if you put Andrade in a featured singles match, you know he's not going to disappoint.
No.
I don't know why.
And the whole, like, the partnership with Rushan, with Press 10 and with Jose the Assistant, it's got potential just other than, like, admin.
Yes.
There's more to it than admin.
The family office. Oh, dear me. Staying with AEW now, we're going to talk about MJF. According to the post-show notes reported on by Fightful Select after Revolution, MJF apparently worked the pay-per-view banged up as a result of a brawl that took place between himself and Bryan Danielson, I think 2 weeks before on TV in the build to the match. With the one where MJF was saying, like, oh, early onset concussion and CT, and then Danielson battered him.
Yeah.
And I think that's where people are saying that he might have become banged up. But it didn't stop him from wrestling over an hour.
Yeah, and it didn't seem to, as the report says here, it didn't seem to impede him at all in his performance against Danielson in that Revolution match. I don't know if this is tied in, I don't know if this was just him selling, but in the post sort of show media scrum thing, he walked in on crutches and was complaining about a knee injury that was sort of caused by an American football tackle or something many years ago, and that was sort of been bothering him ever since, and that was flaring up during the match.
He does sell the knee a lot, doesn't he? Yeah.
So maybe that was tied into what we're talking about here, but yeah, it didn't seem to hamper him at all.
No, he was also eating a jar of pickles.
Was that a CM Punk thing?
Was it? I don't know.
Because he had the brownies, didn't he? And now MJF's got the pickles.
MJF, did he have the towel around his neck? Like
I think
Punk
so.
did? Oh.
And he shouted down the camera, "I'm the best wrestler in the world," when he tapped out Danielson at the end, didn't he?
We know that's CM Punk, so he can't be doing that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Punk's coming back.
Oh,
broke it
God. I remember yesterday I read Alvarez's column in Sports Illustrated.
He's got one of them, has he?
He got himself a nice new column in Sports Illustrated, and then I clicked on it and the website went, "This is one of 4 free articles you get." And I was like, oh no. So I really savored it as I read it. And he said, he mentioned that both MJF and Danielson trained specially for this match, but then pointed out that if you'd asked them after the match if they could have done it without all that extra training, they would have said yes, because wrestling's not real and they could control the pace themselves. I was like, nice one, Brian.
I tell you what, speaking of the pace, and that's the most frenetic Iron Man match I think I've ever seen. Because there was that bit of the first half hour was always like plodding around, taking my time, but they just went for it from the get-go, didn't they?
There was a little bit of stalling when he went into the crowd and did the now infamous tequila spot, but
not as much as normal.
Yes, and there was, especially when they went into that like kind of old school British wrestling section where they're rolling around the ring and
double
all that.
kip up.
Yeah, I was thinking, when are they going to run out of steam? And even though MJF was pretending to for the story, you could tell that he wasn't really.
Oh yeah, those abs are tight.
Yes. One of his roster mates though was certainly not impressed with MJF's actions and has shot on him on social media. Ross.
Yeah, Scorpio Sky. Remember him? Where the bloody hell's he been? He said, if nobody else, I'll start this again. I'll say it. If nobody else will, fans/media celebrating a kid being disrespected at a show is the smallest dick energy imaginable.
Well.
I mean, if you don't know the entire goings on of the situation, as I said earlier in a different video, you might think it's a plant, it's water, it's just a way of getting heel heat. Then you learn of everything about it. Then if you're still sort of celebrating, knowing it was tequila, knowing it wasn't a plant, then that means you've got a small willy.
And a lot of people, another point too, well, first of all, Scorpio Sky hasn't explicitly said this is about MJF, but it can't be about anything else. Yeah. Another sort of I guess point in Scorpio Sky's point of view's favor is that a lot of people have said the kid wasn't even he wasn't even paying attention to MJF. It didn't seem like he was ignoring him. He was far away.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, well, it was cheap heat. It's exactly what it was. It's just whether or not that was acceptable or not that's caused all this debate. Scorpio Sky has laid his cards on the table and doesn't seem to have been afraid of, doesn't seem to have pulled any punches when it comes to arguably the most important guy on the roster currently.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's he got? He might get himself a title match out of this.
Yeah, he might.
Or a title contenders match.
And Scorpio Sky's, I think he's nearly 40 now. He's been around the block. I don't think he's probably scared of speaking up about MJF. Yeah. He hasn't wrestled since taking time off with injury last summer. But interestingly, Fightful Select then reported back in November, that he'd been cleared for some time by November and just hadn't been used because AEW had no creative plans for him.
He's got a case of the Miros.
Yes, exactly. And we still haven't seen him since then. Yeah. He also doesn't, I had a look on his Twitter, he doesn't tweet that often at all. Yeah. So this was a rare tweet from Scorpio Sky.
Strange, because his two TNT title reigns went nowhere very quickly, didn't they? They were both sort of similar, weren't they?
I seem to remember people were pleased when he won it.
Yeah.
And people supported him even though he was a heel, because he was against that weird Sammy Guevara / Frankie Kazarian partnership. It was a weird storyline that. The Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian.
The best gimmick ever.
Yes, but I feel bad for Scorpio because it didn't seem to be his fault, and his matches were always good.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Aye.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And as I mentioned before, check out our earlier news video today if you haven't done so already. Thanks once again, and we'll see you very soon.